And I'd like to have Patrick from Tieto, who's an IoT expert. And we're going to have Patrick Mesterton, who is the CEO and my co-founder here at Epicenter, partner in crime. And now I can ask him in front of witnesses all the things that we don't discuss on management meetings. So I'm bringing up some shares here. Hey, Patrick, welcome home.
Thank you so much. You need any help?
No, yeah, I'll take one of those heavy shares that you built, that you bought. So while I'm getting shares, couldn't you? So I told a little bit, like the 10-second version, what Epicenter is. But could you just tell what is Epicenter in terms of business model and how it differs from a traditional real estate model?
Absolutely.
And Patrick from Tieto, very welcome.
Thank
IoT
you.
expert
Thank you so
par excellence.
Yeah. First time I've been called an expert,
Patrick.
so I'm really happy
And
about it.
welcome back, Anthony. Can't have you sitting there when smart things are going on here.
Sorry.
Yeah. So Patrick, the business model of Epicenter, and how does it differ from a traditional view on looking at real estate?
Yeah, so Epicenter, we're a digital innovation house. We're focusing on helping fast-growing digital companies expand even quicker and large established corporates to work with digital innovation, moving their business forwards. And doing that, we realized very early that that is not the traditional real estate model. We wanted to build that around a membership instead versus building that around square meter pricing. So what we try to do is more to look how we can facilitate growth for companies and what type of space they need, very situation dependent, and then really flip the real estate model upside down. Don't talk about the various amenities or the real estate taxes or the square meter prices, but rather bundling that into a nice fee that fits with the strategic plan of a company.
And how does that, on the sort of from an owner like AMF that owns the building, we don't own the building, unfortunately. How does that business model differ from just renting out a normal rent?
Yeah, so the difference is basically that we try to bundle everything into a nice pie that sort of fits strategically with the company. And then we make sure that we handle the facilities around that. So anything from water to cleaning to energy consumption to real estate taxes and stuff like that are then bundled into the program. And the way we work then together is that we put all our mutual costs in one common P&L, and then we share and split the proceeds of that, which allows us then to end up on the strategically same side of the table versus having someone wanting to maximize square meter pricing and another one wanted to maximize consultancy revenue. So we have a very, very good partnership in working like that.
Patrick, Tieto, 17,000 people. 14,000 people. Strategic and implementation in technology across the globe. You work with IoT a lot. What do you see when you look at property technology and the sort of changes we're discussing here in the real estate market?
Well, yeah, I mean, we've approached the whole area sort of user friendly. So I mean, we've been, of course, we are ourselves in the market of doing IoT stuff and intelligent building solutions and so forth. But we also are, as a user here, like waving our arms like an excited dog and saying, "Here we are." I mean, make something for us. So of course, I mean, we need to connect everything somehow for the users, but also from the building brain sort of to connect everything, so that we can give sort of a user-friendly solution to maintenance and to the employees and to whatever layers you have in the building. So sensoring up sort of whatever you can would be of course the way to go. But then you have of course the problem of what to do with the data you get. So that's naturally always.
Yeah, very often in other industries, the music industry didn't create iTunes or Spotify, and we've all heard the examples. And your example of you've never worked in real estate before. You were an art dealer, and you're an advisor, and you're a technology company, and you're looking at the real estate industry. Why do you think the services will be built by non-industry players, or will it be in partnerships, or will it be built by the industry itself?
Yeah, I mean, somehow at the moment it feels that it's the industry itself who will sort of create the service model, because the real estate, or sorry, I mean now I'm talking from an end user perspective,
okay.
from theater perspective. So the users will build the service model, because the real estate industry unfortunately is a bit slow moving in sort of creating a building as a service.
Would you agree to that?
Well, I think what's really interesting there is that I see the potential for the whole value chain to be turned upside down, because the central point is when the user experience you're providing to everyone who comes into your building is the big thing. The person who creates that, who curates that and looks after that, actually is top of the tree. Whereas in the old world, who's top of the tree? Well, the person who owns the building. So what are they going to do? Are they going to, if you're a landlord, you've got a couple of options, haven't you? You've actually got to turn yourself into a complete user experience company. Some will do it, but culturally it's very hard. Outsource it and just sublet it to brands like Epicenter or frankly WeWork and see them get all the value, or partner with or start property management companies which morph themselves into user experience companies. Because you have to, so I think internally, the landlord is going to have to play ball with people who do that. But I think there's going to be a handful of really big brands. And it's going to be a bit like hotels. You know, there's a Premier Inn all the way up to the Four Seasons. And that brand is going to be so strong that the scope for creating international brands based on the user experience is huge.
But you've decoupled also the fact that you take money from people and the fact that they're sitting here. So there's a lot of people that pay rent every month, but they're not sitting here.
No, because what we believe in is tying the value to something that goes above and beyond sort of the physical square meter space. For us, it's very important to connect a community that gets unified around the topic that is of interest to everybody. And we think it would be too limiting to us to only build that around that you have to have your physical office there. So we've been able to expand our business model, offer more services as part of that, reutilizing the real estate that we already have. And I think going back to your point, I think it's a lot about listening to customers.
Absolutely.
But it's also understand that if you ask customers that aren't aware of something, you'll get the Henry Ford answer.
Yeah.
If I would have asked people, they would have asked for faster horses. So I think therefore you should ally with entrepreneurs that looks at things from a different perspective, because that allows you to push things forward.
But also having the data allows you to understand what people really, you know, as you say, people don't listen to what people say they can do. Take note of what they actually do.
Exactly.
And so it's this fantastic mix. It's the old Steve Jobs thing, isn't it? You know, liberal arts and technology. But it's really, really happening now. You've got to have both of them.
I think it's funny, because the funniest moment is to be with Patrick in a meeting a new potential tenant or somebody, a member here, and they say, "What's the square meter price?" And Patrick looks confused. If you would go to Harvard, would you ask how much the square meter price is, or how many hours your teacher is working per week? Well, I'll start from the beginning. We are a digital innovation house, and then after a while, it's like, okay, I get it. It's not square meter price. But anyway, Gustav, when you hear about the service layers, where will you play a part in that? Do you think that you are that global brand, or would you sort of leave that to the WeWorks of the world, or do you see that you come in with sort of the real estate management stack, or all the nice things on top?
You said it earlier. I think we're a technology company. We know search, and we do it really well. I think when Google did Android, for example, we acknowledge that we know certain parts of the value chain really, really well. In this case, for Android, it was that, hey, we don't know how to build great phones back then, so let's do the operating system. And maybe I think that's the solution. I think that's what we're seeing now with self-driving cars or whatever. I think that's what we're going to see also with the connected home, for example. It might be like, okay, when it comes to sort of the search features or voice or whatever.
Oh, so I get it. So you could be the operating system that somebody takes, and then it operates, kind of like you were okay, do you get that? So there's an operating system layer where everything is already connected, and you can sort of use that on top of your real estate properties, and you can sell that as an additional service.
Yeah, and I think, in addition, sort of how we think about it, I mean, we're trying to be very opportunistic also about how we create sort of value for our tenants, sort of our employees, and that can be anything from, I mean, most of you maybe have seen sort of how Google Office look like. My wife called it sort of that I'm going to the daycare, I'm not going to, because it really is about sort of creating an experience, whether that be having, massages, having dry cleaners, having whatever. I mean, it is really about sort of, I don't go to work, I go to a place in which I hang out with really, really smart people that happens to do some of the same thing that I do. So I do think we will move towards more of that space. I mean, we have people, in my team sitting here on a daily basis, just to sort of say, because getting inspiration, just figuring out, and we can do a video conference or whatever. I mean, it sounds like a bit of a utopia, but I mean, technology, once again, is sort of removing those obstacles slowly. I think our role that could be, as you say, the operating system will deliver stuff that we know really, really well. So hence, I think it's a partner first approach from our end.
I heard a quote that I like, which is every office in the future need to earn the people that are there. And that's pretty far
That's
from
a good one.
cubicles. But tell us some of the projects you see or that you've been involved in where you look at where IoT goes from sort of useless to utility, or when it goes to sort of when it becomes something really powerful.
Of course, we ourselves are using we are piloting the intelligent building solution ourselves, which is basically giving the end user an interface to use the space as to get the most out of the experience out of the space. Basically, that's what it is more or less. And then we are looking into like geofencing solutions also, where you can forget about. I know that you have the chip right here. Yeah, that's cool. But I mean, we can't do it in Finland. But nevertheless, I mean, we could have like a geofencing solution to like help understand where assets and people are moving and so forth, and integrate that to the intelligent building solution, for instance. And of course, I mean. There is as many useless solutions, I guess, also. But I mean, without
that's why it's good to have a consulting model.
Yeah, exactly. But without failures, you can't win either. So, I mean, it's
and how do you get started if somebody says, "I want to be an AI first company. I went to this great event. I want to, connect my buildings." Where do you start, and how do you start?
Well, I mean. Do it, I guess. But this is the problem. I guess the platform, what we have been talking about here today, also is that, I mean, it's so scattered at the moment. You have so many different sort of user interfaces and systems and so forth. So the platform kind of thinking, the operating system model would be fantastic, so that you could have these small startups and good ideas and connect them to something. And get like a platform that the end user can use actually. And this is, I mean, of course, we run a program, an incubator program, a data-driven incubator program, where we give these ideas a chance and so forth. Also, that would be a start.
Would that be an alternative for externals as well?
Yeah, absolutely. If you have a great idea, then just I mean, connect with us, and we'll see what happens.
Do you see any good examples from the UK that we can bring here and copy with pride?
I think you're probably ahead, to be honest. Well, the one thing I think is underestimated in all of this is all this mix of you're either tech or you're not tech. Going back to how do you start? It's the same thing. What are your pain points? What's the problem? What's the job to be done? What's the pain point? Then you do need to understand what AI and technology is good at. Because it's definitely stuff it's no good at. But what is it? So you have a job to be done, a pain point. Oh, could that do that? Who does that? Get them in, see how it works. It's sort of ABC, really.
It is kind of interesting, because when Patrick and I started working with Epicenter, we'd never worked with real estate before, and we did exactly that. Yeah. We asked OMF, who would you like to get closer to and work more with? We like Google. Okay. Gustav, what does Google want? We want Google for entrepreneurs. It's really important for us. Okay, if we can create a space for that and do these things, yeah, we'd love to partner with it. Okay, and then we went to all the others, and then we found out that most of these companies that you want to have as guests, they want to recruit the right people. That's their pain point. And then we asked the people that was most difficult to recruit, that everybody wants to recruit. How do you want to sit? In a place where it's fun, in a place where I learn a lot, and a bunch of other things. And then we just combined those two, and we asked, who wants to be part of Epicenter? And we filled this up in, what was it?
2 months, the whole thing.
2 months, the whole
Really?
thing. Yeah.
Wow.
Which is kind of intuitive.
That's amazing.
But that's not usually how you do it in the industry.
No, absolutely.
So finishing up, what's most exciting right now? Apart from Toronto that you can't speak about.
I mean, I'm an optimist. I'm very excited about to see sort of the whole evolution of self-driving cars. I mean, just seeing once again, my 4-year-old daughter, I don't think she will take a driver's license. You're seeing sort of how we can actually sustain this amazing region in terms of growth, in terms of having more people move into the city and do it in sort of an environmentally friendly way. So it's a very exciting time, I think, for self-driving cars, for example.
Mental note, short stocks in driving schools.
Yeah, well, I think the opportunities you get from new technology, of course, that's really, really cool stuff. But going back to the self-driving cars, I thought it was really interesting here before when we have the broken Skype connection with the data, cars collecting the data, and actually the automotive companies will sell the data for the users. And I mean, this is probably going to be some sort of a big like mega trend that companies collect the data and then they actually sell the data forward, being Tieto, Google, or
We're not going
probably
to sell
doing
any
it
data, I
already.
can promise that.
No, but anyways, I mean, this is something I think that's going to happen also with new tech.
I think just a final note, because coming back to what should you do, I think it's about sort of identifying sort of one problem for you. I think a lot of people start, okay, AI, we need to hire a ton of people that understands AI. I think it's more about a patchwork, trying to identify one thing that you can do, who in my vicinity can help me out figuring that one out. Because otherwise, trying to do everything at the same time, I mean, we are moving at such a fast pace at the moment. So I think sort of, once again, a partner-first approach in trying sort of figuring out how can we bolt on partners in order to fix those problems and not sort of stack up a big internal organization that's going to tackle this. I mean, otherwise it will take too much time. That will be sort of my 2 cents to that.
Patrick?
Two things. From an Epicenter perspective, of course, we're into a modus of internationalization right now, where we're looking at bringing this model, the way that we've structured this, to new markets. So
How many markets have been pitching to get an Epicenter?
I think we've had 28 calls from anything from Beijing to Sao Paulo to Oslo and Helsinki and everything. So we're now on the modus
And
of
why do you
sketching
think that is? Why do you think, and it's, and we haven't prepped this before, why do you think that they're not calling WeWorks or others, or what are the sort of distinguishing factors?
No, but I think the common alignment is around how we look at city development versus property development. I mean, we have a strong feeling, which we talked about before. We know that jobs will be automated and robotized. We know there's a big urbanization trend where people are moving to the cities. We know that there's a lot of companies that are struggling with digital during these circumstances. And there are great opportunities by connecting really good innovative companies, but also with large companies with a lot of resources. Because I think where most people go wrong is they focus only on startups. But looking in terms of job situation and value creation in a city, you need also large corporates. And if you can find an environment where they get to cooperate, they can really build new job opportunities and sort of a sustainable thing for cities. And when we talk to anything from big companies like Google to when we speak to the local communities around that, they feel that that is a very interesting question. That takes you beyond the real estate play. And I think that's why we've gained a lot of international interest in our model. And the other thing we're looking at is from a tech side, as this is PropTech, is how can you personalize your local work environment by using technology? How do you get to change the lighting, the whatever around you, so that you feel much more integrated with your building, so that it works with how you want to work? And I think those are two of the main things that is keeping at least me awake now at night.
Good, I'm glad you're awake at night.
Yeah, and that's it, absolutely. That is the space. That is the model of space as a service, isn't it? It's space that provides you with everything you need, emotionally, functionally, socially, to be the best. To be the best you possibly can. So, as I say, it's back to this fact that we're really merging the physical and the virtual worlds in a way that I don't think's been possible before. And I think across the whole industry, what I find is very interesting is how a lot of the incumbents and the big portfolio owners are going to start adapting their portfolios to suit this new world.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for a lovely panel. You're also going to be around here, so grab these guys if you want to do more. Patrick can probably show you Epicenter if you want to see more about Epicenter as well.
Absolutely, happy to. Thank you.